Dobry večer. Good night. Good evening to you guys. Nikita, do you think we should wait like 30 more seconds to see if we have any last minute people in? And then we'll begin. Okay. Again, good evening to you all. I am so excited to see so many of you here. We have some important stuff to talk about. What I'd like to propose is that we'll start with an update on the building and what's going on with the facility. There will be a communication going out later tonight with much of this written out, but since you're here, we'll give you kind of a verbal overview of where things have been and where they are with the campus. Then I'd like to address what has come to my knowledge during the day, has caused a great deal of frustration, confusion, consternation, worry, and it's raised a lot of questions. And that is this campaign communication that went out. And I just want to, what I've learned from talking to the PTA is that there definitely some misconceptions about that. But I also want to say that I've heard everything fully, but we should address it, and then I can take questions as well on that. And then finally, we'll talk about online learning. Um, Tomorrow, we are ready to go on online learning, both for the primary and secondary, and we'll talk about the details of that a bit later. But we are still in a position right now where there's a good chance we're going to open tomorrow, and then I can start with the building. On Monday, when our power center was damaged, our district power system was damaged. That is where we receive our external heat to the campus. For the last year and a half, we've been making a great deal of augmentations and changes to our existing generator and internal heating capacity to make sure that if we ever did lose all heat, we would still be able to heat the campus sufficiently to also and power the campus so that we could have classes. The one thing that we had not tested yet and couldn't was if the temperature went lower than -11 or -12. And what we got this week was a perfect storm of losing the heat and the temperatures reaching a point that our generator could not both power the internet and the building and also create sufficient heat to get the temperature at a manageable level. So the first day closure occurred, and then we started to get a little bit of heat externally, which we compensated with our capacity, which allowed us to open. And then we had to close again today because we lost total heat and we had low temperatures. What we've been doing today is we've been utilizing every single measure at our disposal, from space heating classrooms, closing off ventilation, deriving all the energy we can from every different part of our system to bring more heat. And we're seeing our temperatures rising this evening. And so we're going to be monitoring it through the evening tonight and through the early morning. So I will ask again to please expect a message early in the morning to confirm. But I want to say that I am optimistic about this. But until I get confirmation, we're getting great temperatures, for example, in on the third floor, on the A block, still having questionable temperatures on the B block, on that front side, which have been the coldest parts of the building since this all began. Um, Before we move on to this fundraising piece and what it was about and what it was meant to be, we've been in this for 4 days, and we've worked really hard to adapt to that as quickly as we can. And the online learning piece, which we'll talk about in detail, we've been working for months to create an online plan for an extended closure. Extended. We were ready for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we planned around that. And what we didn't have in our mind was this situation we're in now, which is plug in, plug out, open, possibly close. And why that's important is that's a very different model that academically and instructionally than what we had created. So we needed a day or two to kind of get all that planned, which we worked on all day today. And taking what we had already created and all the work we had done before, upgrading our platform, refining our instructional approach, making sure that the planning through title was correct, assignments, all that. We had already worked on that, but now how to academically structure what we're calling flex, a flex online or flex remote, which again is the ability to stop and start, right? Which changes the way that you approach it. But let's talk about the issue that has what I've learned has caused some issues within the community. Um, I want to be completely open with everyone that when I was hired in 2023, one of the reasons I was hired, as I was informed, was my background in fundraising. My last school in Guatemala, all of our funds, all of it came from fundraising because we worked with impoverished kids. And so I think one of the strengths that they saw in me when I took the job as director is that I would be able to bring different income into the school. And that is really important because when the school opened in 2023, we knew that we would be operating at a deficit. We knew that, and we did it anyway because we felt like the school being open in Kyiv was too important. And that's actually one of the reasons, of the many reasons that I took the job. We have been operating at a deficit our entire time in Kyiv. So the challenge among many that I hope to share with you is that we have very different pressure on this topic because we're operating at a deficit, which we use our reserves for that were built before the war by many families who are no longer with us. We are utilizing those reserves to offset the deficits that we have. Now, that deficit has improved. We've gotten more students, and that helps, right? But we've had to be careful about the tuition level, right? We can't just charge you guys to get ourselves out of that situation. And to give you a number that's really important, we've calculated that when we get to about 235 students, we will break even, and those deficits will go away, right? And that's really important. And that means we can then keep building and get those reserves going in the right direction, right? So this fundraising idea was born of kind of an emergency response. I realize that some people have an interpretation of this campaign to mean that without raising this money, the school can't open, or without raising this money, the school will fail. That is the opposite of the truth. I wrote this tonight and a communication to the families. We are solid. Our future is secure. We have enough reserves to operate for years, even if we add no more students. What this was about was trying to reach out to the community, which again, is a normal thing for me. And I have an apology to make, and I own it. Okay. I mean, Harvard does community campaigns, and they're one of the richest schools in the world. And so I didn't make the connection that sending a communication out to the families would lead to the doubt, the worry, and even possibly conflict between parents as to who's going to step up and save the school. And I do apologize. I did not know that would be the result. So I'm here tonight to tell you the only purpose for that campaign and the other campaigns we're doing, whether it's supporting scholarships or whether it's supporting our tech program, it's not that those things won't happen. I'm trying to protect the reserves as much as I can. I'm trying to protect the reserves to add more years onto the school's life and knowing no matter how bad it gets, we'll be here years from now. So that was the goal. I see the communication should have been better. It should have explained those things better. I made assumptions I should not have made about how this would impact our community, a community that has people in it who are suffering too, a community where everyone is doing their best to get by, and then a school like ours, which should have all the resources it needs, asking for support. I get it. I get how this would have caused, confusion among many of you. And we are the most elite school in this city. And I'll say again, Harvard, Stanford, they're the most elite as well, and they all fundraise. And so I've never made the connection that fundraising means that you're not the elite, you know? But I realize now that this has a different implication for our community. So I just wanted to address it before we move on to the really important topic of how your kids are going to learn, regardless of what we find tomorrow. Nikita, I mean, if there are questions, if people want me to address something a little more specifically, I'd be happy to do that. So, yeah, if you write a question, it'll go to Nikita, and then he can help, in terms of making sure I hear that. Okay. Are we good, Nikita? Okay. Let me say before we move on, if another parent who's not present here m- is upset, because I trust you guys. I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why we're in this together. If you hear something that is concerning and I need to address it, every single parent in this school has my attention. Every single parent has my personal commitment, right? I'm here to answer any question at any time, and I just lean on anybody here who you feel like I can help in clarifying something. Please let me know. I'll be on it. Okay. Nothing matters more to me than the peace and confidence of this community. We have so much to deal with, so much to deal with. And the reason we've succeeded to this point is that we're unified and we're together, right? And I want to make sure that I do everything I need to do to keep that at all times. Okay. Um, Now, moving on to the online learning, a document's going to go out as soon as we're done here. We need to make a couple more tweaks, and the document will give a brief overview of the building. I need to add a few more things to it, and then you'll see a breakout on remote learning. The first one's on primary, and the second one's on secondary. Um, we're using Google Meets. We bought those licenses this year. It's a far superior approach to online learning than Zoom calls. There's a better security element. In Zoom, there are instances during COVID of strangers finding their way into Zoom calls, right? Which, from a child security standpoint, is not something that we can do. And it's just for many reasons, it's just a far kinder system for our teachers to use. Today, we worked around in divisions, David and Brian, Andrew, who's on this call as well. And I asked them to join if there were specific questions about the online model and that they could do a better job than I could to kind of delve into those things. But the leaders who oversaw the final touches to our online program are here. I want to point out a couple important things. The primary program, the early years, research showed this. Experience there on this call with the educators. We've learned in the COVID era that online learning is not good for the little guys. It's not something that is effective for them. So we are going to continue to have the early childhood grades on campus, even if we close and even if we go online. We've made arrangements to make sure that the spaces are heated for them and that they can come to school in the morning. We will ask, though, that they go home. Brian, if I could put this on you, remind me the time again.
Sure. Hi, everyone. 11:25, we're asking parents to pick up KG1, 2, and KG3 students. And those teachers will ensure that there'll be work that they can take home for them in the afternoons as well. So normal start time at 8:15, running through to 11:25, and then there'll be work sent home with those students for the afternoon session.
That's right. Thank you very much, Brian. And Andrew, I want to make sure that I've got all the numbers right. For the secondary classes, length of period and the schedule is the same, correct?
Yeah, so we will follow the same schedule, which is available on Toddle as well. The students will be able to see that. The communication, I've also put the start times for all of the blocks. So there's 4 blocks during a day. and there's start times for some of these because of the screen time. The teachers most likely will meet with the students. They'll give them instruction, and then they will most likely set some asynchronous tasks for them to do off screen or away from it, so that we can just manage a bit of that screen time. Because again, research showed that being on a screen for the entire day isn't always the best thing. Okay.
All right. I want to also touch on the DP. Obviously, with the sirens and with this week, with a day and a half of closure, those diploma students, the time that they need, that contact time, that learning time is of massive importance to us. We were in our leadership group this morning, and we're already talking about both in the short term and in the longer term things that we're going to do to offset some of those losses. I'd like to, this is not about online learning, but I do need the DP parents that are on this call to know I'm in communication with the IB. We have secured significant flexibility from the IB. I don't think any other school in the world has received such a thing in terms of how, when it's time for the exams, that we'll be able to administer and invigilate those exams and the schedule around it. There'll be more detail on that later, but I just wanted everyone to know that we're thinking about this daily, how to make sure that we're supporting those diploma students and all the things that they've been through and the challenges they faced and how it's going to affect, their learning progress. We're thinking about it, and we're going to be offering solutions and interventions on that. As far as the rest of it, the details of it, I invite you guys to read it. It's pretty straightforward. We all went through COVID, right? So we kind of know how this works, but we think that we've made improvements even on the COVID era approach to this stuff. This time, I'd also like to stop for questions, or before we do that, and maybe while you're thinking of questions, if you have them, I will open the floor to David Freeman and Brian again, or Andrew, if there's something else that we need to get into this conversation now.
Trey, I'd like to pick up on what you're talking about for the DP hours. And, we'll look at what is essential learning to get the kids ready for the exams. And we won't be actually looking specifically at hours, but we will judge and take the professional opinions of our faculty members as to what we may do. And that may require perhaps even some Saturday sessions as we get close to the exams themselves. So we will be taking a very serious look at that, and that might cause some family inconvenience, but at the end of the day, there is nothing more important in this child's academic career than sitting these IB exams. So we take this situation very seriously, and we'll be looking for ways to mitigate the impact of this time lost.
Nikita has let me know that a number of questions are around clarifying when would we start online learning in the KG. Let me be very clear. We're working very hard here at the campus to open tomorrow. I am vastly more optimistic now than I was an hour ago, which is different than I was an hour before that. So the constant reporting, the constant change in the conditions. Tomorrow morning, you will get a message whether we're open or we're going on online learning. And let me repeat, KG and early childhood, even if we go online, are still to come to campus, right? With a closing time of 11:35, right?
11:25, Trey.
I'm so sorry, Brian. I knew I'd get it wrong. 11:25. 11:25. I'm sorry. But that, again, that's in the document that you'll receive after this meeting. So if I want to make it very clear, we could go online tomorrow. We're ready. If the campus closes, we will be online. Okay. But we're working really hard to be open.
Can I just add something to that, Trey?
Yes, please.
Yeah, if we do have to go online tomorrow, it could be a bit tricky for our grade 1 to 3 students who are used to accessing online work through their iPads, which are at school, and they won't have those iPads obviously at home. So we expect a few problems with students and parents accessing. You'll have the links, but they'll obviously be accessing on maybe your devices or other devices that they're not using at school. So the teachers have been briefed to allow for a bit of time tomorrow morning at 8:15 start to problem solve any technical issues, and we've got IT on standby as well. So you just be aware that if we are online tomorrow morning and your child's in grade 1 to 3, obviously they'll be accessing on devices at home and not their iPads, which will be at school.
Good. Thank you, Brian. Very important. And definitely that thing about uh, how that first day and making sure that we get everybody online properly. This is technology. We know, and we're dealing with students. So we have to assume that it's not going to be perfect 100% on that first moment. And if we're patient with ourselves as we get through that first class and that first sign on.
Trey, can I point out that if we are on campus tomorrow, we're still going to go through the drill of getting kids ready for the online work.
That's
In
right.
fact, it's something that they'll be doing in all of their classes is next week, if we have to go online, we want to make sure it works. So essentially, we're going to do some mini online stuff in class if we're on campus tomorrow.
Thank you, David. That's right too. We're going to get them, yeah, a little training and making sure they know how to do it properly to kind of save us time if we close at a later point. Uh, all right. I think we're all looking at the temperature and we're watching that closely. I think we can all be gratified that what I see, and I hope it pans out this way, is that we'll be getting above freezing and getting to some more friendly temperatures for our system. I want to repeat, we had always designed or tried to design our system to be effective, even if we lost heat, even, and clearly we can operate if we've lost power. So it was always that heating thing. And we felt like we had a pretty good solution, but here we are, -11, -12. Well, these temperatures are looking to change, and that is going to help. That is going to help our situation. And I hope when we look back on this, we say, well, that was a heck of a week, wasn't it? But as we all know, and we've all learned, we cannot assume anything, right? There could be more attacks tonight. The temperatures might change again down the road. So we are doing everything we can to learn from our experience and have everything in place that we know to do to get these kids on campus first. I wish you had seen the kids after the first closure and we opened the next day to see the kids when they were back on campus and the way that they looked at each other and their voices, and you could tell they just having them together, having the community together right now, given what we're going through in the city, is so important for their health and for their emotional state, in addition to their learning, right? So if hear it from me, at no point do we close this campus. We'll just close. It's the opposite. When we make a decision to close, it's because we did not have an alternative at that point. If we are on campus tomorrow, okay, we're doing everything we can for these temperatures, but please remember that your kids should be clothed well. They should have layers. It wouldn't hurt to have a scarf, just in case, because comfort is very important too. But we are dealing with, a situation where it's going to be a little chillier in some of the classrooms. Okay. All right. I say this. I mean, are there other questions, Nikita? Okay, I'll wait then. Okay. I'm so glad you guys came tonight. I mean, uh, okay, I see a hand up. If you have I think given the size of the group, if you have a question, just please text it or write it in because I can't see all the hands. I've got 4 screens, which is great. Mm.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why, but I can text on the chat. It doesn't work
Okay.
for me. So, can I ask about the duration of online education? So, it will be maybe you have some minimum and maximum. So, for example, minimum 2 weeks and maximum 1 month. So,
Okay.
yeah, it will be useful information for us. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for that. That's going to really help if we can talk a little bit more about that. And I started off when I was describing the difference between a longer term closure, like a defined closure. And you could think of a number of reasons why that would happen. An additional state of emergency that requires that people evacuate. We would relocate ourselves, but stay together. We would stay together as a team and provide online learning together. I would see that as a 1 week, 2 week, 3 week kind of thing. After 3 to 4 weeks of being online, we would have to address that and say, okay, what now? Um, it's hard to give definitive answers on length of what a long-term closure would look like, but just be confident that we're prepared for that fully and have been working on that for a couple months. Now, the situation we're in right now is completely different. When I called it flex remote, it's because we truly are in a position where it changes day to day and can change day to day. And it's hard to believe that we've been in this situation for only 4 days, but we've already seen ups and downs. We've got enough power to be at campus. Uh-oh, we don't. Uh-oh, there's something with our pump that we need to figure out. Okay. And this is like the kind of thing we're dealing with. So right now we're in an in and out type of scenario, which is frustrating. It's challenging for you as parents to get up every morning and not know, like, am I going to school today or not? When your alarm goes off, I better check my phone to see if we're going to school or not. That I can only imagine what that's like for you as parents. But unfortunately, if the goal is to maximize FaceTime, in other words, if the campus can be open, as director, and we as a team are committed to those doors being open and those students to being with their teachers and together on campus. But the challenge, as I said, means that we have to have this flexibility of being able to assess what the temperatures are. Are our temperatures in our classrooms appropriate? Are they viable? Um, we are running our generator 24/7 now. That helps with some of the heating, and that's important, right? But that's the best I can do is that we have two types of scenarios. We have the long term, and we have what we're in now, which is flex remote. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mhm.
Trey, we received a couple of questions about priorities. One is, what is the critical task that school need to do in order to function normally? And another one, what would you suggest would be the priority for fundraising? We shared 3 pillars with families, and they wonder what would be the first one that the school will invest funds in.
Okay, thank you. Before I answer that, we are able, if we didn't raise a single hryvnia, we're going to be fine. Right? This is a question of making sure that we're not going through our reserves too quickly. And again, we've got years of reserves, and by years I mean at this present state, 3 to 4, and that's if we added no more students. But what is of most value to us right now is help with fuel, with the generator. We're going through so much fuel so fast, and we know how to calculate that. We have not run our generators 24/7 before. this situation this week. This is our first time doing that. So the fuel consumption is much higher, obviously, than it would be normally. So support for the fuel. The next thing is there's an interesting intervention we can put in that would really maximize the power of our generator. And it's a concentrated power source, and it's a $20,000 investment. And it would be a long-term investment for the school. It could help even after the war's over. But it would really help the efficiency of our generator in being able to create both power in the building and also heat and help with the heating. The last one has to do with our teachers. We want to get batteries, home batteries, for our teachers so that they can be effective if they have to be at home and doing online learning. We are also going to have space for teachers who want to come in and do their online learning here. But if teachers are working from home and they are having trouble with power, having sufficient batteries for them to do that. We do a survey of our teachers. I probably should do this for the families, frankly. Now that I think about it, we should do it. And that is we assess and ask for them to tell us what is their situation with power? What's their situation with heat? Can they cook? What are the different aspects of that? And especially with these international teachers, they're not from Ukraine. And many of them, have come here to work in these conditions. Our school has a special duty of care for them to make sure that they can have a passable life, as they are doing their best to serve our students. So this third category would be these batteries. Now, these batteries would belong to the school, and having them in store for us, we could use them where needed for the most needy teachers. We could take them back and have them you could check them out kind of thing. And the problem we're facing is that they're hard to get, and they're getting more expensive, obviously. So I would say those are the three big emergency related areas that are of the most importance to us right now. Nikita, how are we looking on questions?
Parents also wonder what could be the expected temperatures at the school so that they can prepare their children better.
Mm-hmm. I like to think for us, the 17 degree range to 18 is something that can be doable. Because even with clothing, if a child is just, that's not viable, right? So we're looking at the 17 to 18. I'm happy to say that with all the things we're doing, we're cutting off some of the excess ventilation into rooms to stop bringing as much cold air into classrooms. We're putting space heaters in certain spaces through the night and monitoring those, obviously for safety purposes. We're maximizing the efficiency of the heat we are getting through our radiators that we're self-creating. And we're seeing some temperatures go up. On the third floor, we're seeing temperatures as high as 21 degrees, 19, totally doable. We're at the 16 range right now. It was at 11 earlier today, which I'm excited that we're moving in the right direction. Our most troublesome block is B block. On that front edge, as you walk through the gate, that side of that building is the coldest. I have to tell you, David Friedman's, he's won the award. David Friedman's office is the coldest space on the campus. So he's a tough guy. But 16 to 16 minimum. So how to dress. I would be prepared to bring a good warm thermal jacket, good sweaters. I swear by my scarf. I really do. And I think that should be good for what we think is a viable temperature.
Hi. Unfortunately, the chat is not working,
Okay.
so people just have
I'm
It would
sorry.
be great if you could.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sorry, Yulia, I think you're breaking up.
maybe
Just
donation is not. Yeah, sorry.
no, it's okay. I want to hear what you're saying.
Uh, yeah, maybe donation is not the best idea. Maybe you could just say like the specific amount for each family, so we just um invest so the school could work properly. Yeah, like because we were talking about it in the chat, so it's very vague. Parents don't understand how much we have to donate because there are like three steps, like three needs. Yeah, and which needs do we have to cover first? We understand that the fuel need is like the most priority, right? So maybe you could start with that, and then
Mhm.
we could go for the second point. Yeah, or we could cover the first and the second together, and then if we need more for teachers, so we could talk about that because we were talking with the parents that we need more like specific numbers, yeah, for each family. So it would be easier for, I think, for everyone to understand how much we have to collect. So we help
Mm.
the school as much as possible.
I, Yulia, thank you for the comment. That helps me a lot in terms of the perception that I need to address. And it 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 hurts my heart a little bit that parents. And again, I started with an apology and how it was framed. At no point would any donation be required. If no one wanted to, just weren't in a position, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. So I apologize that the understanding was okay. It's up to us on the parent side now to fix the school or to save the school, and that was not the intent. It was not the intent to put this on the families to say, and that if you guys don't divide up among yourselves, like if we don't raise all of this money, then the school's going to not make it, or the school's not going to be able to open. It's the opposite of that. And for the reasons I've said earlier, that this is a long-term vision of protecting reserves. And that's really what that was. So I would strongly ask that we stay in this realm of, if one wants to support the school above and beyond their tuition, and that's their decision, lovely. If they don't, no problem. No problem at all. This was always to be a private, confidential, personal decision, that donations of this nature. And I got to say one more thing again that I've learned very quickly. Um, the way that our community responded to this message, it says a lot that families started speaking to each other and saying, it's our job and it's our responsibility now. And I just want to make sure that I can take that off of you. It's not something that you guys have to divide up among yourselves as parents. And then can you imagine how that would go? Like next now, people are calling each other on the phone going, you haven't given your part. And I mean, it would be a nightmare. And from an emotional standpoint for the families, um, we have multiple ways to address the financial future of this school: growing our students, occasional appropriate raises in tuition to go with inflation, fundraising in an appropriate manner um, that is a person's choice, never to be intended to be a burden on the families. Um, I believe with all of my heart that we're going to have a very successful fundraising program globally. Globally. Um, I've been working a lot over the last 6 months. Nikita's part of that team. We have a fundraising specialist that joined the team. Everything from grants um, to personal donations. Um, and it's not because these projects won't happen without the donations. A good school like ours always looks, especially when you have an incredibly important story, you want to take advantage of those opportunities where people out there and within, um, are impassioned. It's an impassioned question, not one of requirement. Um, so Ilya, I just got to say, breaking up these amounts and handing them out to families and thing, I'm a little reticent. I'm a little reluctant to do that. Even though I appreciate your passion for that, and I see why that you would see it because it seems fair, and everyone's in and that sort of thing. But I hope I can express to you that,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, the message we got, and many of us understood, like not many, but some of us understood as, so if we don't donate, that it would prevent having classes. So
Right.
that's why we
Yeah.
got all like talking about it,
I hear
and
you.
we are ready to contribute. And the donation thing was a bit like unclear for us. Yeah, so we don't know how much we have to donate or something. But now I understand. Yeah, so we were a little bit like too stressed about it, you know?
Yes, of course. And the message that went out a little before this meeting, and I see Dimitri's got his hand up. We gotta continue to hammer this message. And I've said it probably 5 times. It's worth saying 10. School's going to be fine. The school's not going to open or not. It's not going to open or not open based on whether these donations happen or anybody donates at all. And that was. I want to go back to my apology. Um, and the forgiveness I'm asking is, this has been a crazy week, and definitely more thought should have gone in exactly, especially in a community like ours, which doesn't do this a lot. I get that it's not something that the PSI community has a lot of experience with. I think we've had some, bake sales, and we've raised money for charities, and we've done those things. But like raising money for ourselves like this is not something that we've done in the past. So there's an apology combined with, and thank you, Yulia, for your question, and thank you for hearing me. Dimitri.
Thank you so much for answering. Yeah, because now it's we understand that the problem is not the money raising, but the issue is much bigger than that.
Yeah, and long term, more long term. Yeah.
Great. But I also think it's very important for all parents, for all of us to understand maybe it's how much it costs for our kids to continue go to school in the morning. And we are, I'm sorry to be very straightforward,
Yeah.
but of course it's important for us to understand the numbers, and especially if you can work, then continue working, maybe you can pay back to someone who wants to contribute and who wants to have their kids at school. Maybe many of you who really came, we're very happy, and we see how much troubles you're living like with us every day. But we are Ukrainians, and we know how sometimes we need to come together to make things happen. And how we see for last years what's happening, all our country can do like this. And I'm sure that our schools and our community has a lot of people who can participate a little bit more than average. I'm pretty sure we know, like many of us know each other, when we understand if we want to do something, how it can happen. And I'm sure if you will be like openly like just sharing with us without any like obligations to anyone, but just to understand, for all of us to know, and maybe then we can do some like parents talking without the school staff, independently. What are we ready to do? Because it's also like we understand that critical situations, all of us who has big businesses and big infrastructures understands what to know and what to do and how quick it should be done. Maybe we can like give some money like quick to solve the issue, like immediate. And then when your fundraising campaigns will work, and if you will collect something, maybe you can pay it back to people.
Oh, so what's the interest rate on that, Dimitri?
No, I'm just saying that it's many options can happen, and if you will give us some understanding, like and some measures, just to think, maybe we'll come back.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Dimitri, that whole comment, it opens a door to an even bigger conversation about the fact that please hear this. I feel like our community right now is perfectly placed to be the best, you as families, to be the best storytellers of what we're going through and what we're doing, right? And having partners within the family community. I got to tell you, I had a meeting earlier today with the executive committee of the PTA. And it was one of the most wonderful conversations. And it was because of the confusion that was in the community and the questions people had about this message that was received on fundraising. And what came out of that meeting was something really beautiful, which is, okay, we all agree that looking at ways to support the school is a good thing, right? And when parents are talking to parents in a positive way about, hey, we care about this school and the school's working hard. They're not going anywhere and they got it, but what can we do, to maybe help a little bit more if we can? No requirement, no pressure, no guilt, certainly no guilt. And that's a very important piece. But I heard a lot of that in a really strong way, Dimitri, like the way you put it. What does it cost for a kid to go to school? You know, I think you got some of that answer by saying, okay, this is our tuition, these are our numbers, and we've been operating at some deficits. That tells you that we have bigger expenses than what we're taking in with our tuition. But we knew that when we opened the school in 23, and we accepted that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who AS is.
That's me, sorry. My name is Alexandra. I'm a pupil's sister. I just wanted to flag an important concern that majority of the communications related both to the power outages, closures, and reopenings, as well as the fundraising emails have gone out only in English. Whereas in our family's case, majority of the primary caregivers speak Ukrainian or not as fluent of a level of English to fully understand those emails. So it
Mhm.
would be greatly appreciated if the communications also were duplicated in Ukrainian because sometimes it's impossible to, from a communication standpoint, to reach out to my family and translate all the material to them.
Mhm. Thank you, Alexandra.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. Okay. Nikita, how we doing?
All good.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have to deny this call. One moment, please. Okay. Okay. So if there are no further questions right now, I have a favor to ask of you all who are here. And that is help me fix this misunderstanding where you can. Spread the word where you can. That Trey was very clear that we could have done a much better job on the communication had we thought through that. And now, I have a great group of parents that I can run stuff by to say, hey, am I seeing this the way that parents would see that? Um, and I just want to tell you how grateful I am to be part of this school and part of this community. You guys inspire me every day. And I appreciate you guys and your trust for me and for the team who I watch work every day so hard to do the best we can. And if ever in the future we have another misunderstanding, let's do this again. Okay? That would be great. I wish you all a safe, wonderful, sufficiently warm, sufficiently lit evening with your families, and know that you'll get a message from us first thing in the morning. And let's cross our fingers and let's say we're going to come to school. And if we say it enough times, it's going to happen. Great. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.